Oh my goodness. Hello, hello, hello. Wasn't that beautiful? That is so beautiful. And you have entered into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan. Welcome to the Urban Suite on the Urban Tools for Change Network. Oh my goodness. We have a wonderful show in store for you after this. Stay with us. You are entering the Urban Suite with Dr. Lisa Lacan. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Let's talk about mental health. All right. We are back. We are back in the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan. And tonight we are still talking about delusions. So tonight's delusion is grandiose delusions. And I have something to share with you, my urbanites. When I was a young child, I used to have these grandiose delusions that I was married to certain people and, had a certain lifestyle that when I really looked around, I did not have that lifestyle at all. And I was not married to that person at all. So guess what? After we come back, you're going to find out who and what I pretty much fantasized about as a child growing up. I would say at the age of 10, growing up, and it was nothing but a delusion. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Urban Tools for Change Network is sponsored by Bless Ministries Incorporated, BMI, the premier workforce development agency in the state of New Jersey. We are here to serve you. If you have a history of being on parole, if you are on probation, if you are an adult with a disability, if you are a youth with a disability and you're looking for employment, come check us out at 973-733-WORK. So again, BMI sponsors Urban Tools for Change Network. So we are back with our missing person segment. So for those of you who are new to the Urban Tools for Change Network on the Urban Suite, every week when I do a scheduled event, I have to highlight a missing person. And I have to tell you, this is becoming more important for me as the days go by, as the days go on. So tonight is no exception. We have missing from Detroit, Michigan. We have Sean Taylor. He's been missing since 9/11/2022. Listen, my people from Detroit, I need you all to pay attention to this. I need you to I need you to share this information because this is important. He's 18 years old. He's a male. He's Black. His complexion is dark. His height is 6'2". He's 340 pounds. His hair color is black. His hair length is short, and his eye color is brown. I want you to listen to this. Sean Taylor. Sean was last seen at 9 p.m. in the 14,300, I guess that's 14,300 block of Whitcomb. He was wearing a black t-shirt, gray sweatpants, and white flip-flops. Now listen to this. This is really important. Police said that he has bipolar disorder and PTSD. I want you all to think about this. Most of the youth that I highlight during this missing person segment have some type of special needs. They have some type of disability. Sean Taylor is no exception. What is happening to our Black boys and girls with special needs? So, listen, anyone with information, please contact the Detroit Police Department at 313 596 5201. I'm going to repeat that for my Spotify, my iHeartRadio, my Facebook, all of those podcasts that are audio podcasts. That's 313 596 5201 or BAMFI. That's Black and Missing Foundation Incorporated at 877 97 BAMFI. Listen, let's bring Sean Taylor home. And then we have Found Safe. Yes, thank God, thank God, thank God. Listen, I think I reported him last week missing, and he was 13 years old. Rashawn Davis has been found safe. Praise God. His family has peace. He's found safe. So, on that note, let's bring Sean Taylor home. So, hopefully, it is my prayer that we can have a found safe for Sean Taylor. All right. So, listen, we are doing delusions. And I told you all what delusions were. The first delusion we did bizarre delusions, and then last week we did persecutory delusions. So this week we're doing grandiose delusions. Now, delusions are fixed beliefs. That is the key. Fixed beliefs, meaning they are not easily swayed. Meaning, if you have this belief system, that's what you believe. Fixed beliefs that are not amenable to change, meaning they are not open to change. They're not amenable to change in light of conflicting evidence. That means even if you show someone hardcore evidence, they still will not believe you because it is a fixed belief. That's how powerful our belief system is. Even if someone shows you hardcore evidence, your mind says, absolutely not. I'm going to believe what I believe in. And that's a form of power, and that's a form of control. And that definition is from DSM-5. So turn the music down just a little bit. Turn the music down just a little bit. So growing up, many of us developmentally went through a certain phase, and that phase is called fantasy play. So in fantasy play, you would pretend like you're something else that you're really not. So in fantasy play, I would pretend that I was a school teacher. I would pretend that I was a lawyer. I would pretend that I was married to certain people. I would just pretend. I would fantasize, okay? I would have this fantasy that I think I was about 10 years old, that I lived a lavish lifestyle, that I was married to one of the most, oh, he was so handsome, Franco Harris. Look at that. Oh my God. Number 32, Pittsburgh Steeler, Franco Harris. I fantasized that I was his wife at the age of 10, and that I would sit in the stadium and cheer him on. And we had this lavish home and this lavish lifestyle. And then I fantasized about someone else, Jim Kelly. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Oh, my. Listen, I don't know what little girl did not fantasize about Jim Kelly. When Jim Kelly and Bruce Lee were together in those kung fu movies or karate movies on Sunday, that karate Sunday matinee show, and Jim Kelly was there, and then he would do something with his jaw, like, oh my gosh. He used to be my pretend husband. He used to be, oh my gosh, I used to dream of traveling to China with him and dream of him protecting me as we walked on the street. Look at those abs. Oh my gosh. But anyway, a person with grandiose delusions would have this fixed belief that they are, in a sense, better than what they may appear. Meaning, they may think that they have a lot of money. They may think that they're very powerful. They may think that they have a lot of prestige, when in actuality, they have none of that. And they come across as assuming this identity, that they have this fixed belief that not only do they have a lot of prestige, but that they're better than everyone else. And then they may talk to you in a very condescending tone. They may criticize you. They may think that you are the scum of the earth while they are the ace, boon coon. Grandiose delusions. People that have this delusion really believe that they sit with the president, they sit with the queen, they sit with, famous artists. And if you didn't get the invitation, that must mean that it got lost in the mail. Like they cannot believe that they have no affiliation to just regular people. And they come across as if they have all these worldly contacts, they have all of these worldly possessions. Whereas if you try to show them evidence that they don't have that, oh my goodness, they may cut you out, say that you're toxic. They may say all of these things so that they can still believe their delusion. And
Dr.
then,
Lisa,
yes.
so what's the purpose of this type of delusion? What's the end goal of this type of delusion for somebody to have this type of belief system?
Well, okay, so I'm going to paint a couple of pictures how someone can actually contribute, or not contribute, but how someone can actually have this delusion. So remember we talked about it being induced by a substance like drugs. So that's a chemical reaction, a hijacking of your brain per se. Now, that could definitely happen. Wrong medication, wrong drugs, whatever. Also, within this, they could have schizophrenia. So again, with schizophrenia, you're talking about your brain not functioning as it ought. Also, some people may have this as a form of escape. So let's paint a picture right now. I just heard, I don't know if you heard it or not, but in East Orange, New Jersey, a 16-year-old was shot dead 4 times. Did you hear about that?
No.
Okay. Yesterday, a 16-year-old was shot 4 times walking home from school. He was a basketball player and he was walking with some friends. A car pulled up to him, pulled out a gun while his friends were walking with him, and shot him 4 times. The ambulance was called, took him to the hospital, and then he unfortunately was pronounced dead. So think about the friends that were there when that happened. They're about what, 15, 16 years old. They experienced and saw this overly traumatic and dramatic event. So, what do they do as a sense to cope with the trauma? Oftentimes, to cope with trauma, you invent things about yourself, you invent things about other people around you, and you invent things about places. So, say for instance, in order for those children, I would say, what if little Johnny, was walking with the young man that was killed? What if little Johnny was so traumatic, and that was such a traumatic experience for him, that he withdrew and he found a way of escape by pretending to be something that he isn't? So, oftentimes, depending on how you get there, is what you want people to perceive about you. So, say for instance, in that case, Johnny could have gotten there because he wanted to escape, and that's his coping mechanism, to escape something like that, to pretend to be someone that he isn't, to go someplace that he isn't in his mind. So, say for instance, it may be very challenging for him to physically walk down that block, because that's the path that he has to take to go home. That's the path that he has to take to go to school. So, what does Johnny do? Johnny pretends that he's walking perhaps in short heels. And then what happens is, you you take on that belief system, you clothe yourself with that belief system, and then that belief system becomes you. And that's what you're projecting to the world.
Okay, let me ask you another question, and this is maybe a little bit more benign in that particular situation. But there's two popular phrases that I know you've probably heard that might contribute to this. One being, we did it for the gram. You know what I mean? The concept of inventing these personas online and making yourself seem like this, that, and the third, so that people on, so you can get a lot of likes. You know what I mean?
Right.
You might do different things, or say you're with people. Oh, I'm outside such and such house, or I'm doing this. Another thing that goes in line with that is the idea of fake it till you make it. A lot of people
Mhm.
believe that. You know what I mean? That you have to pretend that you're a big shot so that you can become a big shot. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's the
Yeah.
fake it till you make it.
A lot of it is very prideful, a prideful disposition. But the ultimate thing is control. The person wants to be in control, either in control of the narrative that they're projecting, control of basically how people see them. They're controlling, in a sense, when people see them, and they're controlling, in a sense, how people see them, either positively or negatively. So, say for instance, I just did two shows talking about social media and dopamine, and how we have these neurotransmitters that, are produced in our body that send signals, and it's a result of different external stimuli like pleasure, motivation, satisfaction. So I gave an example. I said chocolate ice cream does not motivate me at all. So the dopamine is not shooting out in my brain when it comes to chocolate ice cream. So, say for instance, if you receive attention that you like, not cyberbullying, but if you receive attention that you like, and you get a shot of that dopamine, you're going to continue doing it over and over and over again. And oftentimes it may start out a little story, and then it may increase to, say, for instance, you working on Wall Street when you really don't. And then it will increase to you have your own law firm, or you have your own, firm, whatever that may be. and you really don't. So it will escalate and escalate and escalate. The more accolades that you get from people, they're feeding into that. And then what will happen is it can grow, 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 grow. And
until Cardi B sues
that is correct.
you. Until you get sued by Cardi B and you owe her $3 million.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly what Tasha K did. Like, she was fantasizing about being around these big celebrities and stuff, and she talked about it so much that it actually kind of did happen, but then it turned sour, as we all
Well, it
know.
turned sour because she wanted to, I call it the dopamine effect.
Right. She wanted that. She
Yeah,
loved
she
that.
wanted that rush. She wanted that
Yeah.
dopamine. And I tell people, I always ask if you've ever had an orgasm. Once you have that orgasm, that dopamine is shot out and it's a pleasurable feeling. And that's something that you always try to attain. So when people go to the club, when people go to bars, that's why they always say, don't pick up people in the bars or whatever, because they're not there for a meaningful relationship. They're there for the dopamine effect. They're on the hunt for that dopamine effect. So everyone that engages in, for the most part, like a grandiose delusion, and they're not authentic because it's not based on reality. It is a delusion. That means basically it is a fixed belief that the person has that has nothing to do with reality.
Yeah.
So they're in their own world.
But that negative reinforcement is like, is the drug or whatever. Instead of they're consuming alcohol or some kind of drug to make them feel like that, it's that negative reinforcement that they're getting on social media that's telling them keep going, keep going, keep going. You know what I mean? Because that's what, like, for instance, Tasha K or any number of
Absolutely.
YouTubers have gotten themselves into crazy situations trying to be famous and trying to act like they were somebody that they really weren't.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. They could take pictures, say, for instance, in a hotel lobby and say that that's their house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here in my bedroom. Well, really, it's not their bedroom. They're in a hotel.
Yeah. And it'll work, though. It works. And then they get the likes. And then it's like, okay, well, what's wrong with doing? Now, does this hurt anyone? Does this belief system hurt people?
Absolutely. The first person it hurts is the person that has this belief system. It hurts them because they're not being authentic. And it hurts them that when they really look in the mirror and no one is around, oftentimes they really do know truth, but they are afraid. And there goes that fear again. They are afraid to let people know who they really are. So, one, it can definitely affect them. Number two, your family. Number three, your community. And I say your family and your community because, in a sense, you have rejected your family if you don't include them in your belief system. Can you imagine, say, for instance, if you are a parent and your child has these grandiose delusions and they never acknowledge you as a parent? It's someone else, and someone is the cause of them being who they are, and they never accept you as contributing anything because they don't acknowledge you. So that's, the parental part. And then the community. The community is, say, for instance, because they're so focused on this false belief that they're not grounded in reality to even assist with anything in the community to better the community, because they look down on the community.
See,
even though they're in the community, but they don't see themselves in the community.
Now you're bringing up another situation where it's like, what if some of those grandiose feelings are maybe partially true, okay, but then it's still taken to a next level. Like, for instance, he's a great artist, but like, for instance, Kanye West.
So hold on, you said something key. It's not a feeling. It's not a feeling. It's a belief.
All right, well, like that. Well, this I think still applies. Like for like Kanye West, for instance. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, or somebody that's like a great artist or something like that, but they think that they're the best thing since sliced bread or something like that. Like they are gifted and they do know people and they do this, but then they still take it to the next level and they start, maybe not paying attention to their community, their family, the family problems that he's
Right.
had, the problems he's had with, black community and different things that he might have said. So does a person like him have grandiose delusions or is it true? I don't know.
Well, some of the things that he says definitely over the past years, but remember, he does have a disability.
Right. So that could
He
be
has a
part of it, the
psychiatric
grandiose delusion.
disability. So
Yeah.
within that, yes. So within his psychiatric disability, he sort of reminds me of someone who could be bipolar or schizoaffective. Schizoaffective is you have some traits of schizophrenia and then you have some traits of a mood disorder. Now, he clearly does have a mood disorder, but there are certain things that he has said over the past, like, I'm going to be the president, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of grandiose. That is kind of
Right.
grandiose. So it's sort of like, I'm not certain exactly what his disability is. I'm only going on what he has said. And he says that he has, he's bipolar. But it looks as if he does have some traits of being someone diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
So someone like him, especially if he's not taking his medication, and if he's not adhering to his psychiatrist's order and things of that nature, he definitely can say these things. He definitely can do these things because I mean, it's clear he has a psychiatric disability.
Right.
So
And so
someone like him that does interact with these celebrities, that is true. But to be the president of the United States, see how he took it up.
take it to the next level.
Yeah.
But see, then likewise, you have people that are a much lower level than Kanye West, like 2-bit artists or whatever, people that are trying to be famous. They think they're Kanye West. You know what I mean? Like they
Right.
got the grandiose. Oh, I was with Kanye the other day. Jay-Z, he didn't want one of my songs, so like they making all kinds of stories up so that they can live that life and
Absolutely.
feel the same way he does, and they're just pretending.
Yep. They're
Yeah.
just pretending.
And
They're
that's the
pretending to the
majority.
point whereas it no longer is just like pretending and then take it off. This person never removes this cape of pretending. It's on them all the time.
Because they think it's going to help them.
Right. They believe it's going to help them.
They think they really do.
They really do. And the bottom line also is fear. They don't want to fear being exposed of who they really are and what they really possess. So that fear, I'm telling you, on the surface, we look at fear and we think, how can fear be a contributing factor to X, Y, and Z? Fear is a contributing factor to a lot of dysfunctional behaviors. It really is because what does the Bible say? God didn't give us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a what? Sound mind. People who operate in grandiose delusions, they do not have a sound mind because oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes there's an element of fear. There's an element of fear of something that they don't want to confront. There's an element of fear that they don't want exposed.
And as we know, there's a fear for everything. Like
There's a fear for everything. And then, this is October. And I know on TV there's a Fright Fest, a scary movie for 31 days in October.
Yeah, spooky season.
It's right. It's the
And they have like these big attractions around at all those, Disneyland and Disney World and Great Adventures, and they all have their Halloween themed events, and they do really well actually. It's a big.
People,
they're huge events.
They are huge. People, in a sense, gravitate to fear.
Yeah.
They
Isn't that
gravitate.
how you get over it though? Sometimes, like, isn't that how you get over your fears by facing them a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
It really is. But then I think we know when we go to those haunted houses that there is an element of this is not real. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah, yeah. So
mean?
it's just fun, like with roller coasters and stuff. You know, you're not going to be hurt, but it seems like you
Right.
might get.
Right.
I
Because
just
I've
want to
gone to
make.
a haunted house and I, I'm like, okay. I saw the guy just eating at the hot dog stand. I used to him in the back, changing his clothes. So it's like, okay, okay.
I
How
want to
often
say
do
one thing though. This we had a first today on the show, which was we had like a little cameo by Whiskers. He was moving around in the background back there.
who?
Your cat.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, she was walking around. I just saw her on the screen.
Oh.
So that was the first time we ever saw. We got to see like Whiskers in the shot like
Oh.
that.
Well, sometimes you hear her little bell.
We'll hear the bell, but we never get to see her. So she was.
Oh, wow.
When
So
you
how
look back at the
am
tape,
I freezing?
a little bit, a
Oh.
little, a little bit. But yeah. So there we go. Shout outs to Whiskers wherever you at now. I don't know where
Oh,
she
there
is.
she is right
No,
there.
yeah. See, there she go. Get right there.
Oh, there's my whisker. Oh,
She's been doing it. This is a little cameo debut.
oh,
And it's appropriate because we have her on the thumbnail as well.
oh, that's right.
Now, when Whiskers look in the mirror, is that what she see?
That's right. She sees something bigger than what she really is. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that because you do have to have a level of self-esteem,
It's because
not at the expense of lying.
that's how people they fake it till they make it. That's like a whole mantra. Like people do that. Like that's like a accepted way to get into business, though.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to pretend like you got it. Like that's why people dress like they, real expensive when you might live in the projects.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? But your clothes, you got $300 shoes, you got, a BMW outside, but you live in the projects stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You live in the project and
you
you have
faking,
nothing left for your children
right? And you faking it.
except debt
Yeah.
on those shoes, on that car that you don't own, shoes
Yeah.
that have no return on,
Right.
investment value whatsoever.
But that's what people have been taught to fake it till they make it, to pretend like they're big
Right.
shot so that you could become a big shot. That's how,
So there are some certain things that we need to do when it comes to when you're confronted with this type of person. So of course, if you know that they don't have this lifestyle, you just have to listen to them and
yeah.
you don't want to poo-poo them and be like, yeah, okay, right, blah, 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 blah. Sort of the same things that I talked about the last time, where you have to listen to the person and then you have to avoid disrupting them and kind of support them, but not support the lie. And then what you want to do is redirect them. It's kind of just get off the situation and just be like, okay, all right. So how is so and so doing? How can you pass the potatoes?
Bring them back to earth. Bring them back to
And bring
earth.
it back to earth.
Mhm.
Yes. And then you want to be supportive of them because you have to realize that this is an area that this is a mental health condition. It's a mental health condition. Now, for me, like I said, I grew out of it when I had my when I used to fantasy play and look at Franco Harris and Jim Kelly. But some people never get out of it for several reasons. So, yep. So, with that being said about October being Spooky Fest month and all this other stuff,
Mhm.
how about we look at some phobias?
Oh, because it's the month of the phobia, I guess, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess there's a list of some of the most popular 100 phobias that people have. I guess in America, probably, because in other countries it would probably be different. But we're gonna go over a couple of them, as many as you want to. But let's
Okay.
bring up appropriate music, and you can tell everybody what it means to have a phobia, what a phobia is.
So it's an extreme fear or irrational fear of or an aversion to something. So this is a list of phobias from least to most common. Now, I will say this. There's some of these phobias that I cannot pronounce. And so look, I'm gonna fake it till I'm
Oh Lord, I didn't even realize that first one. Tap Tapophobia, the fear of being buried alive by mistake.
taphophobia. Taphophobia.
Tapophobia.
See, I need my glasses. Taphophobia. The
Mm.
fear of being buried alive by mistake. Who thinks of that? The
Well,
fear.
back in the day, they that actually used to happen, like more commonly, way more commonly than it does now, because they didn't know when people went into a coma and stuff like that, and they didn't have all the electronic measuring things that could tell, oh, there's still a little bit of life left in them and stuff. This is before electronic doctors' equipment. They used to actually bury people, and they were still alive, and they would have that little bell so that you could listen. Yeah, I'm gonna bring you the information, but it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
And what's this myromicophobia? The fear of ants,
People have that.
the fear of zombies, chinomorphophobia,
Mm-hmm.
the fear of worms, scolycophobia,
Hmm.
the
This
fear
people,
of the ocean,
yeah, that's people. A lot of people I would have that. I would think. I mean,
Talalo- the lassophobia, the
yeah,
lassophobia.
thalassophobia, the fear of the ocean. Are you scared of the ocean? You like the ocean, don't you?
No, I love the ocean. I want to move by the ocean. I love it.
But
I respect the ocean, but I don't fear it, but I definitely respect the ocean because it
like
can swallow
being
you
out,
up really fast.
right, like being out in the middle, like one of them little boats and stuff. You don't mind that?
No, mm-mm.
Wow, some like a lot of black people are not like that. A lot of black people are scared of deep water and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
this
I
is
love
something
it.
that you mentioned before. The
Oh,
next one,
claustrophobia.
hmm and there's a more
Ooh,
scientific name for it, but that seems like a rational fear, doesn't it?
absolutely. And
Yeah,
then
like
sometimes these fears, if they are disruptive, like say for instance, if they are disruptive and they interfere with you making money, they interfere with your family, they interfere, that's really a big, huge problem. If you don't like to go outside,
mm, mm.
if you don't like to do whatever based on it being, because it's irrational, it's
Well, like the next,
extreme and it's irrational.
like that next one,
Which one?
umbro, umbraphobia.
Oh, the fear of rain.
Yeah, like what are you
I
doing?
think
Like
a lot of black women have that with their hair.
you know what?
I
That's
no
funny.
longer
I never
have
thought
that.
about
I no longer have that.
that. I never thought about that, but you know what? That kind of is umbraphobia. Like because I've seen that. Like soon as like it started, like oh that plastic bag come out, and then
Yep.
yeah, and then of course numerophobia. Wow,
Neurophobia.
and this how you say that Dysposophobia. That's what leads to hoarding, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Dysposophobia,
Fear of
which is
getting
the
rid of stuff. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and because it's
Dispose. Because it's I guess the key word is dispose.
right, and it's an irrational fear of like
Phobia.
getting rid of stuff. And of course, these fears are sort of irrational. I mean, some seem logical, like a fear of sharks or a fear of like certain things that
Snake.
could kill you. Fear of heights, that certain things that could kill you. But like the fear of light.
Right. That's like Dracula.
Oh, there you go. We could probably end on that one for today. But the that one you talked about earlier,
Oh yeah. Fear of Halloween. The
and
fear
then
of others' opinions about you. The fear of clowns.
yeah,
Oh, I know a lot of people that fear work.
cow.
There's a whole bunch of people in the urban community that fear work.
I don't know. I think that's something. I don't know if that's a fear or if that's something else.
All right,
Yeah,
my
but there we go.
urbanites.
There we
I
go.
tell you, this has been fantastic.
Um,
So, next week, we're going to talk about another delusion. And then we're going to go over some of the more of the other fears we get closer to number one. And we're going to be talking about the delusions and fears throughout the entire month of October. So I think next week we're going to do erotic manic. Uh, yeah, delusion. So
I have
that's,
the list if you want me to bring it up.
yeah, go ahead. You can bring it up. Yep, erotomanic. So what we're going to do is talk about that. And that delusion is, okay, so remember I told you as a little girl, I fantasized about my lifestyle with Franco Harris. Bring up Franco Harris picture.
Oh no. And you know what? But is it like certain similar thing with like a guy might think they want to be Franco Harris, or they they think they friends with like they want to be famous people or anything like that, or
Yeah, like they're friends. Like Franco's birthday was
most kids do that.
yesterday. I didn't get my invitation because it got
Oh,
lost in the mail. Yeah. Now with
all
the
kids do that.
erotic one, erotic manic, it's you're really romanticizing about these people and that you really assume that that you are married to this person or in some type of relationship with this person, and it can become somewhat obsessive. Your delusion.
Okay. Well, hopefully, some of these seem a lot less um harmful though, like than some of the other ones that we've gone over in the past. Some of the other types of delusions or
And you know, some of
disorders.
these delusions, I don't know if you remember, but there was a story where this woman pretended to be someone that she wasn't, and
Rachel
she,
Dolezal was the white woman that
well,
pretended to
that
be black.
her, but
Yeah.
this woman stole a lot of money from people
Mm.
because she pretended to be this wealthy person, pretended to have this lavish lifestyle and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she was actually robbing people because she got the people to believe that she was this wealthy woman and they were investing in her and all this other stuff. Come
Yeah,
to
I've heard
find
about
out, she was broke. She
Mm.
had no connections. She was squandering the money, and it was awful.
Yeah. So there is harm that can come from it. It's just that at least this is not as like some of the disorders where they might be more harmful to the people around them.
Well, it's
At
not
least the
like
grandiose.
antisocial personality disorder, that's for sure. Because I
Right.
told you most of the people in that category are serial killers.
Right. Jeffrey Dahmer. So,
Right.
okay.
All right. So I thank you guys for coming into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan, where you laugh, learn, cry, and grow. Until next week, enjoy, be safe, and Molly, take us away.